what I'm trying to show you now is the method of extracting these things. This piece here would go inside of here. This is just a handle. It's kind of a knurled piece of steel with this piece fastened on with a bolt. And I'm going to have to change this to this so it's the same as this in order to extract the larger part for the BS38 carburetor. So the way this is used is this thing with its little mandrel with its groove in it is placed inside the part. Now remember, everything's hot and you're wearing gloves, so you can't pull that thing out of there very easy. Then this is put around the outside, which is just a vice grips with it's a ring machine to be the same size as the outside of that, and cut in half. That's all it is, and welded on there. So what that does is that clamps that and squeezes it onto this, so you can extract that and pull that out of the part. It's very easy to do when the rubber's hot. It's soft. You can push that into there and it'll like snap in there, and then you clamp this around the outside so it can't move. And then you can get this up, and even though you're wearing gloves, and you can kind of wiggle it and pull it, and eventually you'll get that part out of that little pocket. At any rate, I'm not real proud of this mold, but it's you know, the first flange carb socket mold I was making there, so I never did one with a compound angle. And you know, one time I thought I was going to scrap these babies out and not even make them, but apparently the people need these parts and they're willing to buy them. So that's pretty much the way this one works, and I've showed you how to change this, and I think that's about all you need to know about this. At any rate, that's it. And when it's put together, that'll fit on the other side of the press. Makes two parts at a time, a right and a left. Okay, press is open, it's hot. I thought I'd just show you how these babies work and how I extract them. Pull the molds out. Give it a puff of air like that. I usually check to make sure there's no, you know, flash rubber like this on the plate. Do the same with this one here. Then I get my two pry bars here, and on this particular mold, rather than pull that pad out and rip the pad out of there off the parts, I just pry it like this, and mold it rips the. And then I can grab this flash and pull this little piece out of here. I always throw the scrap on the floor. No sense trying to be a neatnik about it. I sweep up later. And there's the top half of the mold, and it looks pretty good. Don't see any rubber stuck to it. This looks good here. Now, if you rub this flash around the outside, that kind of saves you having to trim it off with scissors later. So a lot of times it's easier to, you'll see me rubbing something, you know, before I take the part out of the mold. And I'm just trying to make it easier to get the flash off. That's what that's. Now I pry this one open, and I didn't quite get a hold of that one. I'll show you what you do about that. If you can use needle nose pliers or an aluminum, like an aluminum screwdriver or something like that. Just something to pinch that rubber so I can get a hold of it to pull it out. Some of them I made a little bump on them that I can grab easy with pliers, but this one doesn't seem to work that way. Then you just rub this like that. One other thing I'll tell you about is when you're running a mold, you're going to get burned. That's inevitable. That's how you can tell a real rubber molder, because he's got little red spots on his arms right here. Best thing to do if you get burned, go over and put your burn under cold water. Run cold water on it right away, and that really helps a lot if you do that. Okay, now I'll show you this little extractor thing for how I get the part out, which this goes down in there like so. Now this is an angled BS38 socket, and there is the part held in this little rig. After you get it out, then you can release this thing and then just pull that out. Set it over here. I usually don't inspect the part until I put the next part in there, because while I'm fooling around doing that, the mold's cooling off and I could be making another part. So the only bad part about that is if something's really wrong, then I made two bad parts. One, because the next one will come out the same way. But I just found that to be more efficient. So I don't really look at it. I mean, I might give it a little cursory glance just to see if it filled out right and so forth. Make sure I'm putting in enough rubber. But that's it. Now we're ready to load it again. I'll drop one of these in here. And these little inserts, I just keep them in a little box over there. You can't see them on the camera, but put in there. And I put this together and this together. And you always want to look at your right and left. This is for right mold, this is the left. Now you'll notice I'm putting the parts, stacking them right over, keep them together with this on this side of the table, that side of the table, so I have all the parts I need. You look for the L and the L for the left, and there's an L and L on there. Just take and pop that down in there. You go over and get your prep. You drop one in there like that, and another one in there like that. Put your glove on. You'll learn real quick not to grab this thing when it's hot. Put that in there. And start a cycle. That's all there is to it. Now, as that press runs up, I can go over and maybe deflange some of that stuff, but I've already shown you that, so I don't think I need to. So that's pretty much it. I'll let the press feed up, and then I'll bump the press a couple times, and so there's no air bubbles in it, and that's it.